77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever, together. Welcome to this That Wrestling Podcast Extra. That was the tweet sent out this afternoon by one Vince McMahon. And at age 77 years old, Vince McMahon has retired from WWE. This is news that isn't completely surprising, but I think is shocking still, just the finality of it. I'll quickly touch on the news release, and then we'll get our reactions. In a WWE news release, McMahon further announced that his daughter Stephanie and current WWE president Nick Khan will be taking over as co-CEOs. Stephanie has been interim CEO, will also take over as chairwoman. Vince says, quote, "I am extremely confident in the continued success of WWE, and I leave our company in the capable hands of an extraordinary group of superstars, employees, and executives. In particular, both chairwoman and co-CEO Stephanie McMahon and co-CEO Nick Khan." McMahon continued in the statement released Friday to WWE investors. I mean, guys, I think we just got to start with your first reaction when you saw the news and read the tweet.
So when I got on an airplane this morning, LA time, 11 a.m. LA time, and I landed in Detroit, 6 p.m. Eastern, the first thing I see is this tweet. And I'm like, okay, makes sense. You know, with everything that's been going on as of late, and the guy's 77 years old, and he has nothing left to prove. Now, like I said last week on our regular podcast, just because I like WWE and I support WWE, that doesn't mean I condone the actions of Vince McMahon. But regarding this, I think it's time, and it'll be interesting to see what's next. And obviously, just heads up, I didn't watch SmackDown. I don't know what happened. But I was surprised, but not surprised at the same time.
Joe?
I was surprised that it happened right before SummerSlam. I assumed it was going to happen with everything that was going on. It's been a non-story in the national media for a while, so I thought he could be like, stretch this out. But I think at 77, it's time. And going back to the beginning of the year when I said that, my bold prediction of Vince is going to retire, I was joking. I picked something out of the blue that would never happen, and that's been the one that's been the most true. So I'm sad to see it happen. It is the end of the era. It's a huge era. It is if it wasn't for Vince, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this. We would still be in territories and talking about the good old boys systems. It's like Vince brought so much to the table. I'm very sad that it's ending. I'm very sad that it's ending before SummerSlam. But it is time. He's 77 years old, and I wish I can retire at 77, but most likely, no.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll all live to see 77. That's my first goal, I think, when it comes to that. Joe, I think you do deserve a pat on the back for your prediction. I mean, like you said, maybe
no, he doesn't.
No, I think greatest. No, he doesn't. I think I do. Like beforehand, like the new TWP award would be greatest prediction that happened.
Yeah.
The front runner was Jason predicting Stone Cold would have a match at WrestleMania.
That's
but I think now it's like it's going up there. We should go back and re-listen to it, me saying it, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it happened. I can't believe it happened.
If you were to give yourself the name Joe Stradamus,
you can create your own category.
I created my own category.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? Joe Stradamus was actually a name that was given to me in radio years ago after the Super Bowl. So I'm glad to hear it again.
Yeah, I think it's deserved. Yeah, Joe, I'm kind of similar. I mean, after that initial shock, the sadness has been my overwhelming feeling. And I think, and it's not a, I think 100% true statement, but I kind of came back because of the circumstances surrounding his retirement. If these Wall Street Journal stories about his improper behavior hadn't come up, I don't believe he'd be retired. So when you think about it in that context, there's a quote from one of the Batman movies that popped in my head. Again, I'm
never
not
touch
saying
another man's rhubarb. Never touch another man's rhubarb.
No, I'm guessing your quote is, "You live long enough to become the villain from The Dark Knight."
That's it. Yeah. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself to become the villain. Again,
and
maybe that's not
another man's rhubarb.
And never touch another man's rhubarb.
Yeah, and continue the quote there. Yeah, it's not an apples to apples thing, but it is,
the best Batman.
Yeah, there's Batman making an appearance. Yeah, that's what I thought about that. Because of these allegations, this is, the end result. And yeah, it became apparent about a week or so ago, like, I think this is what's going to happen, but it's still shocking. And like you said, for the reasons that you said, Joe, like he is the number one historical figure of why wrestling is wrestling. There's no doubt about it, 100%. And it sucks that it happens in this sort of context, but I think, I don't see it being inappropriate. I think it was the right response. So guys, I guess my next question is, let's move forward. We have Steph as co-CEO with Nick Khan, and it was also announced earlier today, Triple H back as the head of talent relations. I believe that was John Laurinaitis's position as of recently, but his health is back up to speed. He's taking over.
It seems like this is when a new coach comes to a team. He gets rid of the old quarterback. He gets rid of the old coaches. Yeah. It's his staff. It's his team. And, that Triple H news came out early this morning, well before all of this.
Yeah.
So if this is a sign that, look, the TV 14 rumors started. SummerSlam is listed as a TV 14 event.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden today happens. The Laurinaitis got put on leave because of all of the Vince stuff. I guess this means he's gone.
Vince the writing's on the wall.
So.
You would think that Laurinaitis is gone because he was Vince's right-hand man, while you can say, Bruce Pritchard is his left-hand man. So the question is like, does Bruce stay?
I was just going to say, has anything else come out about Bruce Pritchard or Kevin Dunn?
Two big Vince guys.
Yeah. So I haven't seen anything officially, but I think the question you're asking is the question on a lot of people's minds, is what's going to happen to those two in particular.
If I had to make a prediction, I'm going to say that those two stay.
Okay.
I think those two stay.
I think Bruce will stay. Kevin Dunn, I don't know, man. I listened to Something to Wrestle With. I love the Bruce Pritchard podcast, and I've gotten to really like him over the years just from watching this. And he left, and nobody thought he showed up on Impact for a couple of weeks. He went to MLW for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden he got brought back. That's like the greatest encore professionally, next to Darius Rucker's foray into country music after Hootie and the Blowfish.
That's a good one.
That's a good analogy right there.
Yeah, really. Very good.
Side note, I've been in Michigan for like 5 hours, like 30 miles from where Brian lives, maybe an hour from where Joe lives. My sister-in-law turned 40. So I'm like hyped up on like sugar cookies. I had a beer, some soda. So maybe, that's the key to good analogies. Hit me up with some sugar
cookies.
That
Midwest territory.
Midwest territory.
Being in the Midwest helps.
Maybe I'm not a West Coast guy.
Maybe it's being I think it's being surrounded by all that fresh water, not that salt water that you can't do anything with. I think you need the fresh water in the trees.
Well, you can't have the water here. We're right down the road from Flint.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Come on, Joe. Get your shit together, man.
Oh, sorry.
Shit together.
Guys, with
I'm close to Lake Erie. I shouldn't be drinking that either.
That's true. Guys, with this new regime, is there anything, I guess, on your wish list of what you would like to see in WWE and the company, whether that's, on screen or anything else, anything that pops into mind that you're thinking, new regime, this is what I would be on my wish list?
I got one, but I'll let Joe go first.
I want to see less camera cuts. I think ever since Brian pointed it out to us about 2 years ago, That's a Kevin Dunn special, and that's all I see now. So I want to see less is more with like bring the superstars up to 11, but the cuts in the ring and the action doesn't have to be the Bourne Identity. It can just be straight up. So I want to see less camera cuts. I want to see a better production.
Jay?
When necessary, I want to see blood. Cage matches, chair shots,
barbed wire everywhere.
Barbed wire some places. I mean, but realistically, if it goes TV 14, we're going to get a little more edgier. Whether that means they say shit on TV a couple more times, not necessarily bra and panties, but like a little just more. But I think blood for Hell in a Cell. You have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view with 2 Hell in a Cell matches, but no blood. That doesn't really make sense. So I'm sure
the
there's
cell's
more.
red.
Right,
the cell is red. Put this. Okay, then I have 2 now. I have blood, and I want the Hell in a Cell to go back to chrome.
That's I'm fine with all of your suggestions.
And just so you listening don't think I am a fucking moron, we didn't plan anything. This is just kind of off the cuff, so I had no idea this question's coming.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, love all of that. I'm really curious because, like, wow, you look at the timestamps of what Triple H was doing with NXT 6 months ago before 2.0, and things happened with Triple H with his health scare, and by all accounts, Vince said, "This isn't working how I want it to work. Let's do 2.0, where it's a little more colorful and over the top with the gimmicks and things." And now Vince is out of the equation, and I wonder if Triple H down the road will go, "I liked it the way it was." Right?
I don't think
so.
It can't go back. It can't go back, because if it goes back, that shows that 2.0 was a failure, and going back, and it's not. And going back would mean it's like just another AEW. It's another indie, and we don't want it to be another indie. We want it to be developmental.
And with the NIL, they're pulling these college athletes. They're not worrying about indies. I think if anything, maybe they just dropped the 2.0 and it's just NXT.
What I would like to see, another change besides the camera cuts, I want NXT to be taped for a year. I don't want it live. I don't want it live because we won't see the broken skateboard before it hits the back. Like, Jason, you should be.
Don't disparage the power of Cora Jade.
No.
The power of her swing. I think she swung it so hard it broke before it hit Roxanne.
Jason, what do you say about the TBS champion as presented on TNT? Not ready for live TV.
Well, she's not.
Right. Neither are. If this is true developmental, it should be taped, and it should be taped. Sure. Let them develop and let it edit to make it a cleaner show.
If it's developmental, we want to see the errors. We don't.
No, we don't. No, we don't. No, because if you see the errors, then it's like it's something that wrestling fans won't forget.
Yeah, I'm with Joe. I mean, that's how NXT on the network was.
It was taped.
However, it was taped. They had tapings. Sure. Oh yeah, it wasn't live.
It was taped and then showed Wednesday afternoon
until the takeovers were live.
Yeah, I think once takeovers started, they were going live on the network every week. I don't think that was all taped.
I don't think so.
But I would like to see NXT be taped for a year, because these are all like new wrestlers or new superstars or new characters. We don't know them yet. You can edit it to make them look better for when they are live. They get all the kinks out and it makes it a more polished product. So that's something I'm hoping will happen. And Triple H being in charge of NXT again, make it so. Don't bring it back to the black and gold NXT indie special. Make it your own. The super indie. Make it your own.
Is the super indie now?
Yeah, we don't need another AEW. They have their own
NDW.
Yes, they have their own thing. NXT should be taped.
So not long after the Vince news broke, Brian Alvarez, who I think is with Wrestling Observer, like Dave Meltzer's group, tweeted that Brock has walked out of SmackDown. and he has left. And so that was another big question of like, well, what is going on? And everything seemed to be, it was all because of the Vince announcement, basically saying, if Vince is gone, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. So, that put a little bit more eyeballs and attention for me on SmackDown. So SmackDown on a Friday night here, Steph opens the show, and she's clearly emotional. They just, acknowledge that her dad, Vince, had announced his retirement. The crowd, unprompted, does a thank you, Vince chant. And Stephanie was like, you're jumping the gun. Because that's what she wanted to lead into of like,
oh, okay. I'm like,
Vince said,
all
yeah,
right.
thank you, universe.
She's like, I'm getting there. Hold on.
Yeah. So it's kind of impromptu, but she's clearly emotional. She mouths to the camera like, love you, dad. So it's the gravity of the moment. Understandable. The show, was what it was. There's nothing, that we need to really touch on until the main event, which ended up being a 6-man of Usos and Theory versus the Street Profits and Madcap Moss. Now, mind you, I should say earlier, actually the very beginning of this program after Stephanie, there was a promo segment with the Street Profits. Theory interrupts, and he says there, whether I cash in against Brock or Roman. I'm like, okay, well, there's a Brock mention. They ran a promo, during the show saying, Brock, Roman, last man standing. And we have the 6-man main event, and it ends up kind of breaking down at the end. And then Brock's music hits.
What?
It was a disqualification. So it was the same thing as last week. Theory used the briefcase on Madcap Moss.
Wow. How did Madcap look? That's my guy now.
He looked good.
Oh, he's good, man.
It's another one of those things, though. It's like, what are they doing with Theory? Is he feuding with Ziggler? Is he feuding with Lashley? Or is he feuding with Moss?
Yeah, there's a lot going on with Theory. He's everywhere. But so, yeah, that was...
And now Brock.
The shocker that, okay, apparently if Alvarez and I think Sean Ross verified that too, of like, yeah, Brock has left and they're not in the plans.
So they all got worked.
So
well,
they got
Did you pick up on McAfee and Cole too?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, Jay, when Brock's music hit, they alluded to it without saying it, saying, I didn't think, but I thought
he wasn't going to be here.
They cut them off.
Okay.
Joe, do you remember what the original plan was for Brock? Like
the original plan from what was promoted was Brock was supposed to open the show to talk about Roman and set up the SummerSlam match.
Yeah.
Well, after everything that happened today, it changed to Stephanie.
Yes.
I think we got worked.
Okay. Maybe we got
sorry, Jason, am I allowed to say that?
I think so.
I think we got fooled.
You know what? Midwest Jason is a lot more calmer than West Coast Jason. So go right ahead.
Yeah.
I like Midwest Jason.
Yeah, cheers to that. Yes, that's good.
When all this stuff was happening, I had just landed at the airport and I'm waiting on my bags and I'm trying to tell my wife, here's what's happening. You're not going to believe this. She goes, yeah, we got to get our bags. We got to go. What I found interesting was if Brock did walk out, I was about to proclaim Brock Lesnar as a bitch. But I'm glad to see he came back. I'm glad to see that we're going to see probably Brock Lesnar's last match in WWE next week at SummerSlam. But what is interesting with the marketing, there is a NASCAR race, I believe, next week in Nashville. And LaJoy, number 7, has a SummerSlam wrapped car with Brock's face and Roman on the hood. Great marketing for, it might be, I swear it's next weekend, but it might be this weekend.
We'll look it up. Yeah.
Either way, it's still great marketing.
But where the angle of the hood is, Brock's face looks ridiculous. So, but it was just the marketing, and they showed the chairs that you get in the first 5 or 10 rows. Brock and Roman are on that chair. So like the marketing for all of us, if Brock would have left, what would that have meant? Would we have just gotten Theory versus Roman?
Mm-hmm.
Would Roman just proclaim maybe this is where somehow we would get a lead into The Rock? I mean, to get into it, so we don't have to get into them.
Yeah, but no,
those are good questions.
Yeah, maybe we don't need to go there, but you're right. I was thinking the same thing. What's the plan B? It looks like the NASCAR is in Nashville this weekend.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
good week beforehand promotion tie-in for SummerSlam.
I think that could be a good future episode of What If TWP of what would the WWE have done if Brock really did walk out.
No spoilers here, Joe. We don't want to tell the people what's coming up in the future on our YouTube channel.
If that was an idea.
I said if it comes up, we haven't planned anything yet. Just like this show.
That's right. All right, guys.
I'm sitting in my sister-in-law's bathroom recording. The whole family's downstairs.
Is that the shower behind you?
It's an open. That's where the toilet's over here, but the shower's here.
Oh, okay.
It's like an open door, yeah. So like literally no plans at all. And everyone's like, "Where's Jason?" So my wife has like to explain to them.
See, you look like you're in the closet of like Halloween, where Laurie Strode is like hiding from Michael Myers. That's what you look like. The background looks like to me.
Nah, don't even know that reference.
I only wish somebody.
You've never seen the original Halloween?
Nah.
I only wish somebody would have knocked on the door and said, "Hey, what's taking so long? I gotta go." Maybe 19, next time.
Ralphie, get out. Randy's gotta go.
There is 19 people in this house.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah,
all right, guys. So. I think we've covered things. Any final words, any final thoughts?
Did you guys see the tweet from Gerald Briscoe?
Oh, yes. Please share this. Yeah.
Disappointed to see all you jabronis, he can use the terminology, Joe, celebrating the retirement of the man who created a world that gave you so much enjoyment growing up. If Vince never existed, all you marks would have had sadder lives than you already do.
That's true.
And then he says, it continues, to be clear, the allegations of workplace misconduct are very serious and disappointing to me. I applaud the board for holding people accountable for their actions. So I was just like, whoa, like Briscoe, we never see Briscoe
ever say like anything.
That. Yeah. So
that says it all, though. That's great. Yeah. That's well said.
Yeah.
I agree too. I agree with them too. It's like the allegations are one thing, but like you can't take away from what the man accomplished.
Yeah.
So with that,
cheers
to Vince.
Absolutely.
Cheers
to Vince. Maybe Jay, maybe you can flush the toilet. Oh, you got an Arnold Palmer.
He's got an Arnold Palmer. All
right. Here's a question for you, Brian. Are you excited for the main event next week now?
Yeah. I think this does add to that. That's actually a really good question because just everything's, this is going to be the first big event with everything different and so that changes everything, right? So, I mean, that just brings the excitement actually for the entire card up, that much more. So for sure.
Nashville is going to be a lot of fun. And if you are going, make sure to reach out to us, thatwrestlepod@gmail.com, at thatwrestlepod on social media. You can DM us there. We're going to be out and about shooting some men on the streets type stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited now. I mean, I was excited before. I've been excited for Brock Roman since it was announced. I was the only one.
Back in 2017.
Yes. And yeah. So fuck you, Kevin. Joe got it out of the way early this time.
Brutal.
Instead of the close.
Well, Kevin isn't here. We can guarantee he's somewhere drunk right now. He is camping.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it's 11:45 Eastern, so I'm sure he's, I'm glad we didn't get the drunk Kevin run in from the woods.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for listening and for watching.
And thank you, Vince.
And thank you, Vince. Yep, absolutely. Onward and upward. Enjoy wrestling. We will talk to you live from Fort Wayne, Indiana for next week's podcast on the road to SummerSlam. Have a good one, everybody.
Fuck you, Kevin.